So let's get a little bit started on the Angular side because I think the remaining. Are you able to see my screen by any chance? Am I sharing?
Yes.
I'm sharing. Huh? Okay, very good. So what I was trying to say is like, so at least on the TypeScript part, we are okay. So now we will just go over a little bit around Angular, the benefits of building using Angular architecture. We'll create some simple Angular application and so on. So let's start with the simple Angular application, and in the process, I will start explaining you along the way, like the Angular architecture and other things as well. So let's use one of my PDF. Hold on once again. Okay. So you might have you have already Angular CLI with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So create a new app, like say for example, maybe my first app or maybe my dream app or something like that.
Okay.
So this is a command for that. And then you could use the, okay, let me create one. So okay, do that. Oh, I had that not that option. So it will say no, fine. Do you like the angle now routing? Say no to that for now. So and then do npm install.
Yeah.
It is actually, if you observe that it is going to create a few set of files, we will try to understand that along the way. So
Okay. I'm just like organizing my files here.
okay.
Okay. So I just run the ng new generate.
Yeah.
Okay.
No generate. This is more like you are creating an app itself, right?
Oh, so just ng new, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sending the command in the chat. So
Oh, okay.
again.
Getting rid of no strict as it's on.
That's okay. Yeah, no problem. It will ask you anyway in the command line if you.
Okay. No to routing. Do we use? Oh, I should use CSS or SCSS.
Where do you get that? The second command?
Yeah. So after, because we use SCSS.
Where did I say CSS? That's okay. Just put CSS. That's fine. By default, it will go.
All right. So it's installing right now.
Yeah. So then my dream app, okay, fine. Then npm install. Would have done it. In case if my ng app is running already before, then it will say that port is already in use, kind of thing. But if I don't get that, that means it is okay.
Okay. Almost there.
No problem. Take your time. Yeah, no worries.
So do I just run ng serve?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I have the app running.
Very good. Is it running now smoothly?
Yeah. Well, I have the main the window with the. It looks like a document, like documentation.
That's okay. Coming to that. Okay. So if you observe here, what we have done basically is like we have created a simple application. I mean to say Angular is having, okay, I'll explain everything piece by piece. So if you observe that once you open the project in Visual Studio, you will find a couple of things like example, you might find something like app component by default it got created, app.module, then component.html, CSS, and so on. Okay. So the most important thing basically is like if you observe, there will be something called main.ts, which will be like the entry point for your application, which will say that okay, I would like to bootstrap or get my application started, and the starting point of that would be app module. The app module is nothing but the more like you can call it like a root module, which will have the basically the how do I say the basic pieces of this application. Like example, remember that we started okay in Angular everything is a component. Okay, so that being the case, you generally have like a component is also like a directive which tells like okay like everything is like a declarative type. So when you use this component, you give me something, you render something, you make something presentable. Now what would you like, where do you capture this? Remember it's a reusable component, right? So if
Yeah.
somebody wants to reuse this component, then how do I tell them how to use it? So we tell declarative component like app root. This is like a selector. This is like a HTML tag. Like when I say H1, it knows like I have to put a bold text or I have to make a header, which is big kind of thing, right? Same way, if I use app root, then it will tell you that use this component.
Okay.
Okay. Now every component will have certain basic things, which is like how to use it, what is my declarative statement, which is app root. Then generally in any UI component, you have some piece of HTML, which can be like a separate, it can be stored in a separate file or it can be stored in the same file also. If it is only like a simple thing, then I can use backspace and then
Oh, okay.
so okay, I'll explain how that UI refresher. Okay, maybe my backspace, I didn't put it correctly. What was that? It's still not terminated. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so if you observe here, I could replace the HTML page with the in the how do I say that backspace characters to tell that tilde character. I guess I don't know what is the right pronunciation for that character, but by specifying that you can have multiple lines within this, and you don't really need to. As long as it's a simple HTML page, this would suffice. But since the HTML if it tends to become bigger, you could as well use a separate file to hold your HTML.
Yeah.
So you could just have a template URL which is relative, and there you specify like where this HTML file content is. Okay. So
Okay.
generally in any component, which remember it's a directive. Directive is like a DOM manipulation. The directive will tell like if somebody has to use it, then what is the selector character, a selector title kind of thing. Then what is the HTML it is using? Then what kind of style I could have. Now this style is particularly only for this particular component.
Yeah.
But if you want a style to be applied across the global level, then you might have styles.css.
Okay.
Okay. So example, you can specify background color, maybe blue and all those things. So it will apply across the style on the global level. Okay. So just be aware of that. Now, when you build the application practically, it will also tell you like, okay, when you run, it will have like which version of Angular I'm using, which version of like RxJS library for observables I might be using. When I do ng serve, is nothing but start the application. When
Mhm.
you do ng serve, actually, there will be a behind the scene there will be like a server running, which will be looking for changes also. And whenever a change is made, it will recompile that particular TypeScript file and create a JavaScript and gets rendered to the browser.
I see.
Okay. Okay. So by default, it will be running behind the scene and it will, that's why ng service, like it will start the server and it will start looking for changes in the files and it will be watching. If you observe here, it is compiled successfully and it is waiting. Whenever I change something, automatically it will compile that particular file and it will render, convert it into JavaScript, which will get rendered by the browser.
Okay.
Okay. Are you with me on that?
Yes.
Okay. Now you have learned like how to create a header tag. Sorry, that H3. You have something like a header component and so on, right? Now you could as well install the Bootstrap also. Like Bootstrap is like a style. You can call it more like a Bootstrap layout. You have heard of something called Bootstrap layout?
Is it that like styling framework?
Yeah, styling framework, correct?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
in order to install the Bootstrap framework, I already kept the command ready for you guys. Sorry, where did I keep the command? Okay, where did I keep it? Sorry, one second. So if you observe here, I can install npm install --save bootstrap at 3. If you specify -g at the end, it will be at the global level. Otherwise, it will be at the project level.
Okay.
Okay, so we will do that later. But just be aware that you could install the styling framework as a part of the application. Angular supports it. Then where to place that location of the bootstrap also, I have copied that somewhere. Hold on a second. Where did I keep that image also? Oh, sorry. I was just trying to capture that everything is a framework kind of thing. So you're going to specify the styles at this location. Are you able to observe that? So whenever you install the bootstrap, basically all the bootstrap dependencies will get added, but your
Okay.
TypeScript framework would not know. So in order, because it will be a part of the node modules library. So in order to include the bootstrap as a part of your application, you need to specify the
Uh,
styles, where to specify that. Yeah. Tell me please.
is that what file is that? Is that
I'll
package.json?
explain. Yeah, correct. So I'll show that. Nothing to worry. 1 second, I'll go back. Now one more file is there. Sorry, 1 second. What was that file you specific? So one is package.json, which will tell you all the dependencies. Sorry, Angular.json. Okay. So here, if you observe, there is a styles here.
Yes.
So add one more styles like this, and specify the node modules, the one what you saw right now.
Okay.
When you okay, let me install that bootstrap thing so that you will see where the files will get created. Then you need to specify the exact path for it to be used. Okay. Where did I get the command? Okay. So I'm going to just select this whole thing. In the project itself, I can specify like terminal. So it will take me to the terminal there. Then I can specify the bootstrap layout. If you observe, it is installing that.
Mhm.
So if you observe that once it installs the bootstrap, no, it will place the bootstrap files in the node modules location.
Yep.
Now you need to inform the TypeScript framework that my bootstrap files are in this location. So in order to do that one only, I was showing you that where exactly it should be placed is like node modules, where exactly it will get created, that complete path has to be specified.
Okay.
Okay. So let it finish it. So okay. Sorry. So node modules. Then if you observe, it will be bootstrap. Okay. Let me refresh it one time. So node modules, under that you will have a bootstrap. So let's hope that bootstrap installed it. Okay, here if you observe here, this got installed. Then subsequently, you have to completely specify the min dot. Here is one copy path. Sorry, this is copied that. Oh, what it didn't copy. I thought I took the whole path and it didn't come on. Good lad. The tools are not that good. Huh? Bootstrap, then what was the bootstrap? Then dist CSS. Bootstrap main.css. Where is that? Spelling.
Yeah.
Main.css. Min is nothing but the compressed version. You might be aware of.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the complete path. So basically now your application is capable of using the Bootstrap layout as well. So when you do the ng serve, actually it will build the application with the Bootstrap layout also as a part of it, so that you could use Bootstrap styles along with it now. Are you with me on that?
Yeah.
So we'll use some applications which has Bootstrap layout and all those things. Okay. Now I will explain with the PDF document also. One second. So you know that Angular uses Node.js behind the scene. Okay. So Angular CLI example, those are all is nothing but it is using the Node.js engine behind the scene to gather the dependencies to, like example, ng serve, npm, that CLI command to create the CLI app and all those things. Those are all behind the scene. You are using the Node.js engine to do the job. Okay. So Angular framework is a Sorry, 5 is a framework for building client-side applications. Okay, uses TypeScript, but actually it will get converted to JavaScript and then it will execute. Be aware of that part. Okay, required to build a front-end web app and mobile applications and so on. Okay, Angular. What is the difference between Angular 2 to Angular 5 or Angular 8?
There's no big difference.
Correct. So
Yeah.
if you observe that no more and more new features got added, like example, Angular 2 did not have Angular CLI. Then they released the Angular 2. Subsequently, by Angular 4, the Angular CLI got bundled along with the things to help build the beginning. Like, say, for example, when I'm starting a new application, we don't want to recreate all these files like package.json, angular.json, and all those things. To make our life little easier, Angular CLI was bundled along with the application to help us build the application. Okay. So Angular is used to build client-side applications very quickly, and it's very simple to use. Web component architecture means it supports the desktop and mobile devices. Okay, it keeps mobile first. What do you mean by mobile first?
I don't know.
Say in desktop applications, right? The layout is designed to with the assumption that you will have 1200 pixels kind of thing. But in mobile applications, it is like it has to rearrange itself in a way where it doesn't cut off. Means the UI screen should not get cut off, but rather it should arrange itself based on the layout. Are you
Okay.
with me? So it is more like a called as the flow layout, or you can call it like what's a good word for that. Uh, Bootstrap is a good example which uses that layout, dynamic layout or something like that. What we call it as.
Is it like media queries?
No, not media queries. It's more like a UI, which is hold on a second. Bootstrap has that framework called. So then exactly there's a terminology for that. What we call it like a dynamic layout or something like that. But more like rearranges itself in a very elegant form. That's the main thing behind that layout. Okay. So the important bootstrap. Come on, bootstrap. I don't remember that terminology right now. Sorry about that. I'll try to get that word. Okay. So basically, if you observe that even it arranges the component in a very elegant form. Sorry, responsive layout. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So basically, if you observe when you rearrange the components or you minimize the screen or anything, automatically it will arrange the components in a way where the UI screen does not cut it off. It doesn't cut, but rather it will rearrange itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see if I could. Okay. So I minimize the screen size. Okay. Now if you observe that automatically the layout rearranges itself slightly as the component size becomes smaller in a way where it doesn't UI does not get cut off, but rather it rearranges itself in a more elegant way to support different layouts like mobile devices and so on.
I see.
So this is called responsive design or responsive layout design. Okay. So Bootstrap layout is a part of the same framework where it offers this kind of feature built in. Okay. So I showed you just a minute ago that you could add Bootstrap layout as a part of your Angular application as well. Okay. So this is one thing. And so hold on, let me. So when you build the application, basically it will ng serve and all those things we already learned what it is. Okay. Package.json will tell you like what is your exact dependencies for your application. Like example, what is the TypeScript compiler you are using? All those specific things which will automatically provide you that framework. Okay, just be aware of that.
Mhm.
Then what else is specific to this thing which you should be aware of? So you can also specify like whether it's a dev version or a productional version and those kind of things also you can specify. Okay. There's a new framework called, new enhancement like IV framework where it will reduce the size of the application to 1/10th of the current size what the applications tend to be. Okay. So it will remove all the unnecessary dependencies and so on that we'll figure out those things later. Okay. But just be aware of it that the newer application is capable of reducing the size of the app by more than 1/10. Means the size will reduce significantly. Okay. We will check on those things maybe on the last day of the program. Okay.
Okay.
So the output will be placed in the dist folder or distribution, what we call it as. The main page is nothing but the index.html. If you observe main.ts when we started. Okay. So I was mentioning to you that on the main.ts is the location where you will specify like which is your like bootstrapping your application.
I
Now
see.
when you bootstrap your application, you actually go to app module. In the app module, you will recognize like, okay, what are all the things my application is dependent upon? Like example, it might be a browser module. You can modularize your application and you can leverage it basically. Means you can, how do I say, containerize your application. Means separate components, separate modules can be built and your application can be leveraging that. Okay. Now
Okay.
let's assume that I am going to have a services. The services like example communicating to the backend and fetching the data. Like I would like to fetch the list of products, list of customers, add a customer, update a customer. Those kind of services will be used throughout the application. So there I specify in the providers like these are my services which will be leveraged by everybody in the whole application will be able to leverage those services. We will write one or two services during the course of our exercises. Okay.
Okay.
And what we have created is an app component. And you have noticed that I have changed that app component. I put a new title. And when I change the title, automatically the application started showing the new title. Where is that 4200?
It's a lot of tabs.
Okay. Sorry, too many windows are there. Apologies. Okay.
No, that's not a problem.
Okay. So if you observe that when you write, you can write your own component also. Let's assume that okay, I'll write a new component of like the example, hello world component. Okay, just example. One second. There are two ways to create a new component. One is we could generate it using the how do I say that?
CLI.
Using the using the Angular CLI, you could create the component, or you could do the component creation through manually.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll show creating of the component using Angular CLI once, and then we can create a new component using the for dummy purpose. I'll just create a hello world component. Okay. Okay, sorry. Didn't like it.
Oh yeah, you have to have the dashes, maybe.
Ng generate, oh, generate component. NGGC. Sorry, I should go back one. So if you observe here, it automatically created the uh, observe that it is creating 3 or 4 files by default. Okay, so if you observe that okay, it doesn't refresh. Yeah. Okay, so I'm seeing that hello world component. Now if you observe that in the hello world component, it actually creates the like selector and so on. So I can as well say like, okay, in my app component, I'm going to leverage the hello world component. Okay, in the hello world component, I can specify like so. Sorry, I'm specifying that this is a new component what I have created, and observe where all it makes the registration. It actually adds a it in sorry. First, Angular doesn't know that this component exists. So that is why it will import this particular component, and then it will also specify that I'm going to be using this component. So that is why there are two levels. One is to import it, because by adding it here, it will not know that, okay, where is this component located. So you need to exactly specify the complete relative path where this component is located. Okay. Now by creating this component and registering it, now my application will be able to view this component, and on the UI you should be able to see that. What happened? We're not doing component.ts. Okay.
I
Uh,
the HTML isn't saved.
HTML. What happened to HTML?
This file isn't saved.
App component.html. So okay, this is seems to be correct only. What happened? Is it compiling? Or it stopped?
No, I think like you notice like on the tabs in Microsoft, the little circle.
Here, this one.
So if you like the tabs that list all the different files that are open, you see like the circles.
Okay.
That means
It
that
is not saved.
yeah, it's not saved. And then
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that.
on the app component as well. App component at HTML.
There's no save all. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's easier.
That okay. Here it was noticing. Okay. Okay. So if you observe that we are able to create a new component in a simplest possible way, and now this component can be reusable. So now exercise for you would be, remember that you could have a component like a warning component and an alert component, like a critical or a warning kind of thing.
Um,
Think like this is a message is like a warning message, and this is a critical or a error message. So just create a small component and highlight it in the background color, maybe like yellow or green, so that you could leverage the style. So just take about 5 to 10 minutes, and I will try to give you some snippet of code also to change the color and all those things. The styling part I'll provide it. The remaining part you could create a simple component, like two same component, or you can create a different component. That's okay. Which will just give you like an exercise to create one component which is shows the alert and one shows the success.
Okay. So 2 components, right?
Yeah, 2 components. Yeah.
Right.
Simple one, not a big deal. Okay. So just take about 5 to 10 minutes, and I will get you the styling and all those parts.
Okay.
Style part will help you with that. So I will turn off the sharing so you could share your screen.
Okay.
In the meantime, I will try to get the styling piece.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Hold on once again. Can I give you a, how do I say, like a zip file which has all the bootstrap layout, everything ready? So you just have to build on top of that, would be a lot more easier. Okay. So let's see if there is a styling framework can be shared here. How do I send a file?
Through Teams.
Okay, maybe. Okay.